Okay, so gonna do an Instagram live today. I totally intended to take a shower, but what happened today was that I managed to get in my run and then not enough time to cool down and take a shower. Kids are also here, and so you might hear some background kid noises. Hi, Jesse. Might hear some background kid noises, might hear some dog noises. It's windy outside. And so, anyway, I figured today I would go ahead and dig something out of my finisher frog basket and make a decision, do something with it. I tend to be a monogamous knitter. I am a finisher. I like finishing things. I don't like the nagging feeling of like stuff hanging over me, but there are some really, really, really long-term whips in, I don't know if you can see on the screen, but on a basket right about here. The things on the top are upcoming design projects that I know I need to work on. It's good for me to keep the yarn support all in one place so that I don't lose it. And then deep below there are the very, very old, stinky old whips. One of the IG lives that I did last week was a tour of this entire craft room. I posted it on YouTube, on the Kino Knits YouTube channel, which there should be a link in my profile, or you can just search on Kino Knits on YouTube. So if you want a tour of this whole craft room, then hello, you can go ahead and look at that. But otherwise, we're just gonna be focusing on the finisher frog basket. So I'm just gonna go pull something out of there at random. Like I said, the top stuff is upcoming projects that are design projects, so I need to not lose the yarn. But if we put something deep in there. All right, so the deeper I get, the less likely, this will be a good one. The deeper I get, the less likely it's in a project bag, and the more likely it's in a Ziploc bag, because that's what I used to use for project bags. So this one, I already know the answer, and I think I already knew the answer a long time ago. This is the only glove I've ever knit. Here we go. Isn't that awesome? It's the only glove I've ever knit. So let's talk about this. So years ago, I'd say like 10 plus years ago, and still am, I was obsessed with colorwork mittens. And wait, Jesse is saying to finish that. Wait till you hear the saga of this. The reason I think the answer is frog is because I already years ago cut the yarn off. Hi, Lisa. And took the yarn balls to go do something else. This is Brown Sheep Nature Spun Sport. I have it in about a bajillion colorways in that bin up top. They're not in Ravelry, and I really like just pawing through there and playing. And I like, even though I like having my stash in Ravelry, I really like the freedom of pawing through that bin. Like, it scratches an itch that usually my type A side doesn't allow to play. So I was obsessed with the colorwork mittens, and I knit several pairs. This was my only glove I've ever knit, and I knit it by sort of kind of making up a pattern, but not really. So let me pull something else off the shelf. So my college roommate, also a knitter, and has Norwegian heritage, and she lent me some books from her mother's collection, and I copied things out of them. And I have these paper copies of patterns that are in Norwegian, which I totally don't speak. But if you've ever worked mittens and colorwork mittens, you don't actually need to read any of this. You can just sort of count. And so I don't know why, but when I first started knitting, I decided I didn't need patterns and I couldn't just leave well enough alone. I suppose it was a precursor to show that I was going to become a designer. But I didn't just pick a mitten out of here. I didn't just pick a glove out of here. I was like, oh, I like that chart. Oh, and then I like that chart. And so the reason I say I'm gonna have to frog this is because this piece is from one set of gloves and this piece is from another. And oh, guess what? I didn't realize till I got to like right here that they were different stitch counts. And so then I'd have to add in pieces. Short of like sitting down and counting stitches manually, I don't really know how I could recreate this. I don't really know what I intended for the other fingers. And actually, when I put this on, this finger feels too short. So like, this is all stuff that's fixable, but like I said, since I pulled this out and cut the yarn and used it for something else and put it somewhere else, I think this is probably a frog project. So Jesse's saying maybe frog, but you should design a pair for real now. That's true. So like I said, there's lots of good resources here in these random photocopies I have. But if any of you are interested in knitting for real, like mittens of this type, this is a great book. This happened to be on the shelf. Well, not happened to, I guess I put it on there, but this was on the shelf next to it. Selvuvotter, which is I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. But Terri Shea is the author, and she went into, I think she went into some Norwegian museums and found old antique mittens and gloves, and then did exactly what I was saying I was going to have to do, which is, you know, count the stitches. So I don't want to show too much to give it away, but I have knit some patterns out of this book, and it's the same sort of concept where it's, you know, a picture, but then there's guidelines in English, and you probably need to be smart and follow all one pattern instead of mashing them together without counting exactly how many stitches go in each section. So here's like a picture of the original mittens and then her recreation of them. This one, a lot of these just come in one size, but then there are different size mittens throughout the book. So they'll say, like, you'll know that it's a woman's size, you'll know that it's a child's size. So you can't knit every one of these mittens in all sizes, but across the book there are mittens in all sizes, if that makes sense. So a few of them I've made a few times. I've put some of them in Maryland Sheep and Wool Festival competition and did pretty well. But I think for my first thing in the finisher frog basket, which, I mean, this has got to be circa 2007, 2008 that I did this. And so I think this one's going to go. But it looks like I did some, like, I had sort of a leaf motif going on. And then, you know, I do still really like doing color work. I'd like doing color work mittens. The only mittens I've ever designed that have kind of stranded stuff going on is my Safari Mittens collection. But I think that perhaps these are going to be frogged and reclaim the yarn. But I do love this style of knitting, and I will definitely knit some more. And maybe one day I will knit some real gloves. So that's the first thing out of the finisher frog basket. I'm just going to keep this short and sweet. And like I said, I'm mostly a monogamous knitter, and so it's not too bad in there, but there's probably a half dozen things that could use a decision, and they're all probably 10 years old, because that's how I roll. So thanks for joining me. I'm going to try to save this and throw this up on the Kino Knits YouTube, as I mentioned, and I will see y'all tomorrow for another video. I have antique Japanese ball winders and swifts that I got out of my grandmother's stuff, and I'm gonna see if I can make it work live. Could be great, could be a fantastic failure, but we'll do that tomorrow. So join me here tomorrow at 4 o'clock for that. Thanks everyone. Bye bye.